Before I begin with my video, I would like to make a shout out plug to this one YouTuber called The Self-Hating Weeb. He makes great videos that are of higher quality of mine, and yet he's still getting less views and subs than me. But that shit should change. He covers various topics about anime, its fandom, and he even has a series called RTFM, which is short for Read the Fucking Manga, where he compares the anime to its manga source material. One of those series he's covered is my top favorite manga series, Negima. Give him your attention, your sub, click bell for notifications, etc, etc. And I'm not really a fan of most anime YouTubers nowadays, but this guy is really good. And he does talk about manga extensively, something I like to see and do more of. Which is a good time to segue discussing more about Negima, and even a little bit of its ongoing sequel, UQ Holder. Now, I am a fan of the series, obviously. I did a vlog about it years ago, followed it up talking about the ending where it was subpar, but I didn't hate it as much. Mostly because I've seen much worse endings where creators would just kill their characters off just to be done with the series. And I heard about the troubles Ken Akamatsu had beforehand, why he had to end it so abruptly. Like I said, it gets mentioned in Self-Hating Weeb's video. Please check it out. And I'd recommend reading Negima and even UQ Holder depending on your tolerance of fan service. I mean, I read this back when I was just like in 2007, so I was still like at the last years of my high school phase, so, you know, that was back when I liked everything too, and I wasn't such a cynic. I miss those days. Unfortunately, the gratuitous fan service is to be expected because it was created by Ken Akamatsu after all, who created AI Love You and some harem comedy about a guy trying to get into college or something, and he had this tsundere friend beating on him all the time. I don't know. I've never seen nor read the series at all. Not one page. As I'm recording this vlog, I realize I'm making it mostly for myself because I only have like maybe 3 Negima fans as my audience. If there's more, make yourself known in the comments, please. I'd like to know. But I'm still going to slap a spoiler warning for Negima and UQ Holder up until volume 15, which is the most current official translated volume out there right now. And for those who just want to hear me talk while you're playing on your Switch or PS4 right now as background noise, then I hope I can still try to pique your curiosity in this series. I mean, I look back at this series and I still love it. My tolerance for fan service has kind of lowered a bit, but I still love the series. I'm even nostalgic for the earlier entries up until the finale of the Mahora Festival arc. And you think a weird harem about a Harry Potter ass looking boy wizard being an English teacher at an all girls class in a big citywide campus would be ridiculous. And it is. But it's also a pretty awesome shonen action series. Unfortunately, like I said before, due to some weird rights holding shenanigans, as pointed out in Self-Hating Weeb's video, please watch, please sub to him, come on guys. The ending had to be rushed with unanswered questions until recently. Sorta. As I spoil UQ Holder, I am going to be brief. I'm not going to give that much context for those who are in the dark or not familiar with. I'm sorry, because I don't want to spend forever talking about every little facet detail and summarize everything. I just want to get to the more important parts. Volume 15 of UQ Holder was actually a very interesting read because it potentially covers a what if case that happens. Like, what if Negima did continue long enough to get the proper conclusion it deserved? See, in this volume, our main protagonist, Tota Konoe, alongside worst girl Kirie Sakurame, encountered who I thought was a complete stranger, actually turned out to be Negi's old-time friend, Albert Chamomile, or Camo for short. He was the talking Erming that would push him to form the probationary contracts with his students so he gains new comrades with their own unique superpowers. And I didn't recognize him at first because this is the first time I've seen him in human form, and he looks like a weird butler with a goofy haircut and mustache. and he was going to show him a video from 20 years prior to the beginning of the series until Dana, another character, one of Toda's other mentors, shows up with a different video. That video in question shows an alternate timeline, aka if Akamatsu didn't rush the ending, where you saw a grand finale battle where Negi fights the main villain possessing his dad in space. Asuna was around to help, which made things a little bit better, and they actually claimed that it was like using a cheat code in a speed run, yada yada yada. But that's not what I want to cover. What I want to cover was, who's Negi's crush in this little harem shonen series? So in the end of Negima, our main protagonist, Negi Springfield, did in fact had a crush on one of his students, but they never directly revealed to the reader who it was. He whispered it to Asuna's ear, and that's it. Time skip, epilogue, fuck people who were interested in that plot. When there was no revelation on Negi's crush originally, I really didn't care at all. Because in most harems, especially the ones with multiple possible ships and routes, it always end in a vague non-answer. I mean, let's face it, if they did give an answer 6 or 7 years ago, there would be some readers that might get pissed off anyways because their preferred choice didn't win. But there was an answer, and to me, it was unexpected, but still satisfying, which is the best way to go. So let's do process of elimination. It wasn't Asuna, it wasn't Nodoka, nor Yue. In fact, he rejects both of their conventions during graduation. It wasn't Chachimaru, nor Kufei, nor Evangeline. Hell, it wasn't even Aika. So who? Who? The answer was... Chisame Hasegawa.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Oh, how interesting. See, a little bit of backstory, a little bit of dark screen backstory. When I started reading Negima, after watching a couple episodes of the anime, my friend told me to just read the manga recommendation. I read them out of order originally because I thought my local bookstore didn't have volumes 1 and 2 available. So I ended up getting volumes 3, 4, and 5. That was the Evangeline arc and 2/3 of the Kyoto arc. Eventually, after a second trip with a different friend on that same day, turns out they did have volumes 1 and 2, they just hid in one of those circular rotating displays, but they never put them in the main manga section. Now, I bring that up because reading the Kyoto arc, I saw Chisame, and she was a minor character at the time. And I thought of her nothing more as a cynical loner who really didn't care about her classmates much, saw them as immature idiots, complained about everything that was going on, and that's all I knew about her. Until I went back and read Volume 2, where after Library Island they had chapters focusing on some of the other minor characters, and one of them happened to be on her, who by day was just some average ordinary student, but afterwards she's an I'm sorry, this revelation 11 years and it's still fucking funny to me. She wasn't she's an internet idol who cosplays in cute clothing, looks all stupid moe and shit, and even calls herself Chiyu. Webpage and everything. This anime took place in 2003 if you want to know what technology was like in that series, but the drastic change in characterization where she has like 2 identities changed my perspective on her big time. She was kind of a meh character I really didn't care about, but until I found out about this, she was almost in my top favorite list. And I guess that was the same case for Akamatsu later on, but boy was that just crazy. Now, as the series progressed to the Mahora Festival arc, Chisame did get pushed more and more till she was up there as one of Negi's allies and main protagonists alongside Asuna, Nodoka, Yue, and the others. She even found out on her own that Negi was a wizard because of the final tournament battle where he exposited his objective of being a Magister Magi to a whole crowd. She found out what that meant on the internet, and she just confronted him and said, "You're a fucking wizard, aren't you?" And yeah, the whole wizard thing, Negi needed to keep a secret. She was a really cool character and played a more straight man role, pointing out the absurdities that's around her life, and probably would comment on situations that the reader might even comment on. And despite the crazy internet double life she has, although most of us have that now thanks to the evolution of social media, she felt like the most down-to-earth and human character in that series. And, you know, that is actually pretty necessary because even before we got to the Magical World arc, we already had wizards, robots, vampires, dog boys, time travelers, and ghosts. And demons. I don't know if I got everything on that list, but yeah, that's what we had for like 18 to 20 volumes. And during the Magical World arc, she had a very important role in Negi's training when he was trying to attain some dark power known as the Magia Erebea, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, where if Negi's life is threatened, she had to destroy the scroll containing that power, otherwise he would either lose his magical abilities altogether or just straight up die, or she would have to have faith in Negi overcoming the trial before sunrise. Either way, I actually felt more tension in Chisame's dilemma than I did in Negi's training, even though he had a really cool pseudo-battle rematch with Evangeline in that. Because that is a lot of pressure to put on an average everyday character like her. And she ended up kind of usurping the role as a big sister figure from Asuna during that arc too. It's crazy, they were definitely pushing her a lot. Now, like I said before, I didn't see it coming.
You never see it coming.
But before I scripted this vlog, and even had a conversation with the Self-Hating Weeb on Twitter about it, again, please check that man's content. Remember when we had communities on this website? Anyways, there might have been stuff there that could have interpreted foreshadowing that Negi was going to go the route of Chisame. And I'm going to bring up two things I noticed. The first thing is during the Mahora Festival arc. In chapter 91, where Negi visits Chisame during an underground cosplay guerrilla event that wasn't even officially scheduled, Chisame asks how did he know about this event, and he answers he checks her webpage, her page of Chiyu, on a daily basis, and even claims to be a fan of Chiyu. But he tries to brush it off as a teacher who just cares for his students, and yeah, he does have that personality trait with him, but sure you are. Yeah, okay. You're just a caring teacher. Nudge nudge, wink wink. The second point I want to cover is more on Chisame's design. Now, her design was actually partially based off of Naru Narusaga's design from Lovina, particularly whenever Naru wore glasses and had braids, and whenever she goes off to study. You would think that would cause me to just retch at that thought because of how much I hated Naru, but no, quite the opposite. Because I did originally relate to this character, an antisocial cynic who would rather spend more time on the computer or anything else than being with her classmates. Yeah, I can relate to that bitch. And most people know that Naru is based off of Akamatsu's wife. And if that, going by that logic, then so is Chisame and even Asuna. Continuing on with more spoilers for UQ Holder, Negi straight up confesses to Chisame, and Chisame rejects her teacher's confession because, like I said before, she's the only character with common fucking sense, especially in situations like this. And she tells him to wait 5 years, which could set up a potential different route. Maybe Negi could end up with Nodoka at the end. But then one of the last things Dana shows to our UQ Holder protagonist, a wedding photo of Negi and Chisame. So apparently, according to Dana, that there were a lot of twists and turns, but there weren't enough pages to cover it, which is a shame. I would have put up a whole other volume dedicated to this. I really would. Yeah, I would put the brakes on the current series for longer, but considering how Negima originally ended and the fans weren't as pleased, I would give him just a bit of fan service and maybe a little bit of a stronger closure. Now, I said before that I didn't really hate Negima's ending all that much, but every time I do talk about it, I do feel a tinge of disappointment. Nothing offensively bad, like Mass Effect 3's conclusion, but reading the latest volume of UQ Holder, officially speaking of course, I don't read the chapters online whenever they're out in Japan. I prefer to just support the official release, and I like to own physical copies of manga. But reading this volume makes you wish and wonder, what if he did in fact continue his series? The finish line didn't even seem that far away. He had to finish it soon. The main character was getting ungodly overpowered. But instead he had to make this weird sequel out of necessity. And I don't hate UQ Holder either. I do love that series too, flaws and all. But I do miss Mahora Academy. I miss characters like Chisame, Chao Lingshin, the more fantasy focused elements, seeing Negi develop as an overpowered badass. And didn't Akamatsu really map it out to where it was going to be Chisame at the end? I would be happy with that. UA fans won't be, that's for sure. And you would think Toda's reaction to seeing all these events transpire, you would think a reality where he didn't need to exist and things turn out well in the end would depress him. But no, he was even more determined to get his own happy ending without the use of cheat codes, as he kind of quoted, which fires me up in wanting to read more of UQ Holder. Well, I hope you enjoyed this vanity vlog of mine. I would like to hear your comments anyways. Hell, if you got questions about Negima, UQ Holder, I could answer them in the comments section as best as I can. And once again, if you're curious as to why I hold this manga so close to my top personal favorite series, watch the Self-Hating Weeb's videos on Negima, and you might get a better understanding as to why. Well, I hope you guys enjoy your Christmas week. And with that, Darkscream signing out. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Holidays. Take care, everybody.